Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM. This is Leica Radio.
Good morning, everyone. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Welcome to the show. This week's show is slightly different because of the very unusual circumstances that we live in. Normally, I just have one guest and we talk to them about their life and their work. This week, I'm going around the country and travelling abroad to New York as well as to Dhaka in Bangladesh to talk to practitioners and others about what is happening concerning coronavirus. So please stay tuned. We are going to hear some voices of some very eminent doctors and some members of the public as well about what life is like for them. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Please join me after the break.
Leica.
This is Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. As you know, today we are going around the country and indeed around the world talking to doctors and others about the situation in their places where they are. We're now going to North Wales, to the just outside the A&E department of one of the hospitals there, and I'm going to be talking to an A&E consultant, Dr. Niraj Patil, who has 25 years' experience in A&E and who is the former mayor of Lambeth. Good morning, Niraj.
Oh, good morning.
What is the situation like in North Wales?
Well, the situation in North Wales is, I must say, it is getting worse, but it's not as bad as London. Now, as expected, the cases are increasing. The mortalities are increasing. Now, right now, as I speak to you, we have 7 confirmed cases admitted in the hospital, 20 suspected cases. So the pandemic is spreading. So the thing is, the worst days are yet to come.
And what is morale like amongst the doctors and the nurses in North Wales? How are they feeling about this? Do they feel that this is a never-ending escalator of grief and pain for them? How are they feeling? What's the morale?
The morale is been mixed because, in a way, dealing with more cases and just there is some confusion regarding the PPE equipment. But yes, a lot of staff members have declared themselves off sick. There's staff shortages, but there's still people ready to fight.
And do you find that the need for testing has now improved? The Prime Minister this week has said he wanted to see more people being tested. So did Tony Blair and William Hague and others. Do you think that is now vital for all the staff dealing with patients who come into our hospitals?
Unfortunately, the answer is no, because we should be testing almost every doctor, nurse, healthcare worker who is interacting with COVID-19 positive patients. Simply because, as you know, COVID-19 is a very high, which has got an R0 of 1:3. So
Which means can you just explain what that means?
Oh, the R0 means the infectivity of a virus. So COVID-19 virus infects one person on an average, infects 3 people over 1 week. So in 2 weeks, it's 9. In 3 weeks, it's 81. And then over 4 months, it becomes almost 15 lakhs. So if you take it 15 lakhs and the mortality of 4%, it means that at least you'll have 65,000 deaths. So the R0 is very important. So bringing the R0 to less than 1 is the only way to beat the pandemic, because if you bring it less than 1 over a period of time, the pandemic disappears. Now,
Finally,
in order to do that...
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, finally, looking out of your window there in North Wales, we're trying to get an impression of what it's like in different parts of the country and indeed different parts of the world. What do you see outside your window?
Well, I must say the general public has been very supportive because they are maintaining strict social distancing, which is very good. And, if we combine this with testing and early treatment and isolation of confirmed cases, this will prevent the spread of the disease, and hopefully we will be able to overcome this pandemic.
Dr. Niraj Patel, on behalf of all our listeners at Leica Radio, thank you so much for the amazing work that you're doing with your colleagues at the NHS in North Wales. And have a rest today, because I know it's your rest day and you're back at work tomorrow. So you have our thoughts and our prayers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Niraj Patel, the consultant A&E specialist at North Wales in the United Kingdom. And we are going to take a short break now, and we are going to be back again. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458.
Leica.
This is Leica Radio.
जो अख लड़ जावे सारी रात नींद ना आवे मैनू बड़ा तड़पावे दिल चैन कहीं ना पावे 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 जो अख लड़ जावे सारी रात नींद ना आवे मैनू बड़ा तड़पावे दिल चैन कहीं ना पावे पावे पावे
चूड़ी तेरी खन 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 के रे खन 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 के वेख वेख के चेहरा मेरा दिल ये धक धक धड़के रे दिल ये धक धक धड़के
तरसावे तेरे बिन ये रहना पावे माही जो तू ना आवे 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 लड़ जावे सारी रात नींद ना आवे मैनू बड़ा तड़पावे दिल चैन कहीं ना पावे पावे पावे
लगी मेरी जान हाँ तेरी एक लुक बादशाह के गाने के जैसे कोई हो देख के चंदा भी गया तुझे छुप बात मेरी सुन बेबी बिल्कुल चुप लगी मेरी जान हाँ तेरी एक लुक बादशाह के गाने के जैसे कोई हो देख के चंदा भी गया तुझे छुप बात मेरी सुन बेबी बिल्कुल चुप
मैं बावली हूँ तेरी तू जान है ना मेरी बस प्यार ही है मांगा किस बात की है देरी बावली हूँ तेरी तू जान है ना मेरी बस प्यार ही है मांगा किस बात की है देरी
आजा चल तू मेरे साथ यारा चल तू ये रात कभी ना आवे आवे आवे
लड़ जावे सारी रात नींद ना आवे मैनू बड़ा तड़पावे दिल चैन कहीं ना पावे 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 सारी रात नींद ना आवे
जो लड़ जावे
सारी रात नींद ना आवे
जो लड़ जावे
जो लड़ जावे
जो लड़ जावे
Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Thank you for joining us after the break. As you know, in this programme, we're going round the country and indeed round the world talking to practitioners and others about the coronavirus pandemic. We now bring ourselves to North London and particularly to Colindale. And I have on the line Dr. Amrit Lamba, who's been practicing medicine for 15 years. He has his own practice with his family, and he is a specialist in diabetes. Good morning, Dr. Lamba.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now tell us about the issue of primary care. A lot of people will be seeking to contact their GPs at this particular moment. The surgeries, obviously, for very good reasons, are closed. But they're also open because people can still contact their GPs. How would your patients and other patients contact their GPs at this particular time?
Right, so as you mentioned, surgeries are closed in terms of the front door being closed so that patients aren't able to enter the premises without having contact via phone in the first instance. So the main port of call for our practice is by telephone. So if any patients across the country need to contact their GP, rather than walking in as they may have done previously, they're advised to phone. And when they do call, they will be given advice by the reception team and booked in to speak to their GP over the phone. And usually the GPs, I'd say 9 times out of 10, are able to resolve the matter over the phone or even by a video consultation. So we've really moved on to embrace technology in these last few weeks in order to make sure that the country is still safe from other ailments other than coronavirus.
Now, in terms of the symptoms, it's now 4 months since coronavirus was discovered, or we realised that it was around in China originally. How do people know that they are at risk? How do they know they've got it? Is it still coughing, headaches, sore throats, or what are the key symptoms that we have to look out for?
Sure. So there are a few things there. First of all, coronaviruses as a group have been around for a long time. We've known about coronaviruses for a while. They cause respiratory tract infections. What's different about this particular coronavirus is that, as you mentioned, it started from a particular part in China, in Wuhan, and has spread quite rapidly across the world with very severe complications in certain people. Now, the majority of people will not have very severe complications from this coronavirus, from COVID-19. And I think that's important to mention. However, we're looking at approximately 10%, or perhaps less, of people who will get significant symptoms from coronavirus that can lead them to requiring additional medical support. And so the symptoms to be looking out for are fever, cough, shortness of breath. But we're starting to learn more about this particular type of coronavirus over the last few weeks. We're also seeing patients expressing that they notice that they aren't able to smell their food or taste their food. Yes. There are other patients who are mentioning that they get body aches. Quite significant body aches. And there's also some description from patients that they notice that some of the symptoms worsen during the evening and in the night. So it's a collection of symptoms.
Now, you're a specialist in diabetes, and I and others are diabetic. What is your special message for diabetics? Because, of course, if you've got an exercise regime, then you will spend less time exercising. You can only go out once a day, according to what the Prime Minister wants us to do. But what's your special message to them? How do they take special care? Because these are one of the underlying conditions, are they not?
Yes, you're absolutely right. So what we've learnt from the data available from China is that a significant proportion of the people who experienced symptoms, quite significant symptoms from coronavirus, actually had diabetes. So we know that they are a group of patients who potentially can develop infections. And we've known that for a long time with diabetes. People with diabetes are more prone to infections. However, it's the severity of the infections which we're most concerned about. So people with diabetes, if they do catch coronavirus, they're more prone to developing a more severe form of it. So what's important is, as you mentioned, trying to keep your glucose levels within a normal range. Now, it's difficult within these times to obviously exercise as much, but there are things you can do within the house, things that you can do in the garden. But what that also means is you have to be even more careful with what you're eating. If you're not expending more energy, then you have to ensure that you're not putting too many calories in. And so, again, very difficult, but that's the recommendation. And if you do fall unwell, being someone with diabetes, you should call your GP straight away, because there are certain medicines and certain bits of advice that a GP would need to give you quite urgently in that situation.
Dr. Amrit Lamba, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure that we will be speaking to you again about these issues in the future. But on behalf of all the listeners of Leica Radio, a big thank you to you and your colleagues in the NHS for the work that they are doing.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. That was Dr. Amrit Lamba, who was joining us from Colindale in North London. We're going to take a short break and we're going to be back in a few moments.
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Leica.
The hottest new data offer of the year is with Leica Mobile. Now you can get a phone-busting 40 gigabytes of data with UK Plan Mega, plus unlimited minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £20 when you buy online. Valid for 30 days and EU roaming included. This amazing offer is available for new customers when purchased at leicamobile.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply. Leica Mobile.
Supporting all restaurants, TakeawayGenie.com is giving all restaurants a free online ordering system to receive delivery and collection orders directly. Start offering takeaway in 24 hours by registering free on TakeawayGenie.com.
Great news for customers of SBI UK. Get £10 for the first money transfer carried out between 10th of March and the 10th of April 2020 using the Yono SBI UK mobile app. Visit sbiuk.com for details. T's and C's apply.
Insure your device from as little as 14p per day with Leica Insure. We protect the little things that matter a lot. Get 2 months free cover when you buy 12 months policy. Visit leicainsure.com or call toll free on 0330 132 34 34. We also offer a gadget recycling service. Sell your gadgets in 3 easy steps. Search for your offers. Visit leicainsure.com. Leica Insure services are supplied by Mobiles and Gadgets. A trading name of QTM is authorised and regulated by the Finance Conduct Authority. 786619.
In these difficult times, many businesses are still very much open for business and still need to communicate with their customers. Radio can help. Right now, it's playing an even bigger role, keeping people in the UK informed and entertained. And the latest technology means that even with social distancing, radio ads can still be made and broadcast safely. Radio. Business as usual, even when it's not business as usual. See radio differently at radiocentre.org.
Are you building your business or promoting a brand? Do you need new customers? Or do you need to keep your name in the mind of all your customers? Then you need to advertise on Leica Radio 1458 and Dilsey 1035. Our stations cater for a large audience of South Asians who live and work in and around Greater London. Call our experienced sales team on 0207 132 1458 and you can be on air in no time at all. That's 0207 132 1458.
This is
Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. As you know, for today's programme, we are talking to doctors, practitioners and others all over the world, as well as in the UK. And we're now going to Bangladesh, to Dhaka, in fact, where I have on the line Dr. Mohammed Ishan Albari Rahat, who's been practicing for 13 years as a general surgeon and diabetic specialist at the Anwar Khan Modern Medical College Hospital in Dhaka. Welcome, Dr. Rahat.
Yes, hello. Okay.
Hi,
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's evening in Dhaka. Can you tell me tell our listeners a little bit about the general situation now in Dhaka in Bangladesh? What's the feeling amongst the population?
You already know that Dhaka is a densely populated city, and our first COVID-19 positive case was identified on 8th March. Until today, around 54 cases are identified and newly detected 3 in last 24 hours and died 6 cases. So far, already the people are afraid of this disease.
Yes.
And
now tell me,
Sorry,
go on.
And from last 24th March, it was decided by our Honorable Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, that we are totally locked down from all passengers' travel, and it will be continued up to 11th April.
Now, tell me about the situation regarding patients in Dhaka in particular. I know that you practice both at Maulvi Bazaar in Sylhet and also in Dhaka.
Yes.
For you, a practitioner, are people still coming to see you with their cases, or are you yourself isolated at the hospital? Are people still coming in?
The thing is, people are already afraid, and no elective cases are seen. Mostly the people came for dry cough or all the symptoms of COVID-19. They are isolated and sent to 11 dedicated hospitals, which are already established in Dhaka and all over the Bangladesh, and 17 laboratories to test COVID-19. And the thing is, usually I have to see 30 or 50 patients per day, but it is just 2 to 5 patients now, because all are afraid. And the thing is, people cannot move all in there. They have to stay at home in these days.
And in terms of...
so only emergency cases are coming.
Right. But in terms of protective equipment for someone like you, this is an issue here in the UK. Do you have enough PPE, protective personal equipment?
No, not that much, because, we are a poor country that is a developing country, and in spite of in need of PPE, our doctors are trying their best. We have already gifted about 10,000 PPE along with 10,000 test kits and 1,000 infrared thermometer from China. But here is around 90,000 doctors are seeing the patients every day, and if after seeing a COVID-19 positive case, you have to discard that PPE. So we are really in need of PPE. Though our doctors and all other health workers are trying their best to compete this situation.
I understand that the Chinese government has gifted you 10,000 PPE items. Is that right?
And also the local government employees are trying their best to produce the PPE.
Yes. What about the issue of testing, Dr. Rahat? How many people have been tested in Dhaka, and is this regarded as a priority for your government?
The thing is, the testing kits are in shortage. Around 150 to 200 cases are tested every day.
That's very low.
It is mainly happened only in Dhaka for last 30th March. From yesterday, we able to add 16 laboratories more, and from today, 17 laboratories are total working. But still, we are in need of test kit and also in need of other facilities.
Dr. Mohammed Ehsan Al-Bari Rahat, thank you so much for joining us here on Leica Radio. Our thanks to you.
Thank you.
Our good wishes from the diaspora Bangladeshi community in the United Kingdom. Please carry on with your very good work. I'm sure we will speak to you again in the not-too-distant future. Thank you, Dr. Rahat.
Thank you. Take care.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. That was Dr. Mohammed Ehsan Al-Bari Rahat talking to us direct from Dhaka, Bangladesh about the situation there. We are going to take a short break and we are then going to be back with more interviews.
शर्मा
Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM. Leica.
This is Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. As you know, we have been round the country, and no visit round the country is complete without a visit to Leicester. Joining me on the line from Leicester is Dr. Hina Trivedi, who has been practicing for 31 years and is an honorary fellow at the University of Leicester. Good morning, Dr. Trivedi.
Good morning, Keith.
What is the situation like in Leicester? We've had some reports from London. We've been to Dhaka in Bangladesh. We've been to Wales. What's it like in Leicester at the moment?
So in Leicester, we're not the epicenter. The epicenter is London and also West Midlands, Birmingham, and so on. All our hospitals and our local health community are preparing. Already our hospitals, our major hospitals, have divided and separated their hospitals into COVID and non-COVID areas. So hot areas and cold areas. Already our community services have also begun preparing, where we're creating hot hubs where patients can be seen when we highly suspect that they have COVID. And already we're implementing all of the things that the government have asked us to do with social isolation, social distancing, trying to get as many staff to work from home.
Yes.
Most of our surgery is now telephone triage.
So tell me how that's working at the moment, because obviously primary care is extremely important. Your first port of call is your local GP. We know from other parts of the country that practices are closed, i.e. the front door is closed, but the GPs are there, are they not, on telephones?
They are. So it's closed physically in that if you were to, usually you were able to walk into a GP surgery, but now you'll be faced with the front door that is closed. However, it is actually open. Entrance is only permitted after a telephone call because we have to protect you and protect the patients and protect the staff. So patients are admitted into the surgery only after they've made a telephone call, they've been screened, made sure that they don't have active disease, and then if needed to be seen, they will be given a code, and the code is given at the entrance, and they will be permitted entry into the surgery.
So you are still seeing patients? They are coming to see you if necessary?
To be fair, we have the facility to see patients, but and this is where it's a bit of a bittersweet thing. We are not seeing many patients. Now, why bittersweet? Well, obviously sweet in the sense that the workload has diminished, but one of the things that we're worried about is that patients aren't contacting the doctors because they are worried about going out.
And in terms of your own personal protection, you have the right equipment, and in terms of testing, is testing going on in Leicester?
So testing is going on in Leicester, but not in the surgeries. Testing is currently only at the LRI, where that's the Leicester Royal Infirmary, where there's a separate area for testing. Now that may change as things develop and so on. As regards personal protection, I'm really pleased to say that we have ample aprons, ample gloves, ample masks. We don't, unfortunately, have any eye protection. And again, if I think we needed to see a patient with active COVID, we would need that. We would also need long sleeve aprons, which we don't have. But we do have at least some type of frontline protection.
You are clearly a key worker, so you can travel about from your home to your practice.
Correct.
So you have been driving to and from there. Describe the streets of Leicester. Describe a road that we all know, the Belgrave Road. Is it totally different to what we normally experience?
Absolutely. I work, one of my surgeries is actually off Belgrave Road, and I drove down there both Monday and Tuesday, and you would not believe that hardly anything was open. Usually the streets are bustling, you smell lots of food, there's lots of people in saris, shops are open and inviting. All of it is closed. Even the town centre is quiet. The streets are very quiet. I can usually a commute that can take 45 minutes. I can do in 20 minutes. that just describes how people have taken things on board. And I'm really proud of the British people to do this, to actually listen and to isolate and case isolate.
Yes.
You know, there are different stages in this disease. The first is case isolation. So if somebody has symptoms, self-isolate.
Yes.
Then secondly, it's really important to have family quarantine. If somebody in your family has symptoms, the family should be quarantined. And then the third thing is social distancing.
Dr. Hina Trivedi, on behalf of no doubt all of the people in Leicester, but also our listeners on Leica Radio, a big thank you not just to you, but also to the rest of your family and to the wider medical family who are supporting us at this time. Please accept our sincere thanks for what you're doing.
Thanks very much, Keith.
Thank you to Dr. Trivedi. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. We've heard from a number of different practitioners. We've been to Leicester, to North Wales, we've been to North London, we've been to Dhaka in Bangladesh. And this shows that the wider community of doctors, all part of our community, are all working together. We'll take a short break and we'll be back in a few moments.
Leica Radio. Leica Radio.
This is a message from the government. Coronavirus is a national emergency, life-threatening for people of all ages everywhere in the UK. To help save lives, you must stay home. Only go outside for food, health reasons, daily exercise or to work, but only if you cannot work from home. Stay home. Anyone can get it and anyone can spread it. Stay home to help protect the NHS and frontline staff working to save lives. Coronavirus. Stay home, protect the NHS, save lives.
Hi Simran, have you heard about the extension of the IR35?
No, I tried to call my accountant, but he's always busy. I'm losing my trust in him.
Don't worry, my wife and I use DNS accountants. Why don't you give them a try? They ensure that we follow the correct compliance procedures and they have a no penalty guarantee with a 60-day money-back guarantee.
Really?
Yes, call DNS today, a multi-award-winning accountant. DNS provide a free IR35 review for all self-employed contractors and freelancers. Call DNS now on 03300 886686.
Supporting all restaurants, TakeawayGenie.com is giving all restaurants a free online ordering system to receive delivery and collection orders directly. Start offering takeaway in 24 hours by registering free on TakeawayGenie.com.
Great news for customers of SBI UK. Get £10 for the first money transfer carried out between 10th of March and the 10th of April 2020 using the YONO SBI UK mobile app. Visit sbiuk.com for details. T's and C's apply.
Are you building your business or promoting a brand? Do you need new customers? Or do you need to keep your name in the mind of all your customers? Then you need to advertise on Leica Radio 1458 and Dilsey 1035. Our stations cater for a large audience of South Asians who live and work in and around Greater London. Call our experienced sales team on 0207 132 1458 and you can be on air in no time at all. That's 0207 132 1458.
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. As you know, on this particular programme this week, we are talking to practitioners all over the country and indeed the world and others about the current health pandemic. On the line now from South London, I have Dr. Balu, who is regarded as one of the leading experts on mental health issues in the country. He also deals with well-being issues, which encompasses mental health, and he's practiced for over 20 years in this field. He's joining us this morning from Kensington and Chelsea. Good morning, Dr. Balu.
Good morning, Keith. Nice to be on the program.
Now tell me, this is an area, we've talked about how people get tested, we've talked about the particular position of practitioners, but this is an area that so far has not really been focused on. That's mental health issues. And I want you, first of all, to talk to me about the issues regarding mental health concerning people who may have coronavirus or who may have recovered from coronavirus. What kind of help is being offered to them?
As you rightly pointed out, Keith, this is an unprecedented situation, and any virus infection is bound to have both physical and mental health consequences. What we are seeing in people who are either about to get or having symptoms is they are extremely worried, that they might die. Whether that's an intense, expression by some people that I have, spoken over the phone, they may or may not have the virus. And as you know, the community testing is not very, very widely available. They sit at home and they've been asked to isolate, so they're going through this, very, very worried that they might have the COVID-19 and they might end up in hospital in the intensive care. So that's one aspect of it.
And what is the other message to you? What is the message from you to them about
what's
their fear of this unseen virus?
Yeah, what's important is to be keeping you informed, well hydrated, but stay connected. Stay connected to somebody close to you. Stay connected to the health professional. There is help around. Unfortunately, we're all, in this situation together, and there is no, thing that could be done immediately. They have to wait. The body usually sort of fights the virus, and if they didn't have any other comorbid health conditions like diabetes or hypertension or any other problems, usually, they don't get complications. So just to be confident and stay connected is what we say.
Now, let's move on to the people who are actually in their homes, because the lockdown is being observed, but although, of course, most people are locked down with members of their families, there are going to be some people who are locked down in their flats with non-family members, but with friends or just flatmates. What kind of effect is this having on them?
Of course, this is a huge issue because we do have a number of people who are alone. So people who are living with someone, we're advising social distancing even between them, although it's not practically possible. So loneliness is a huge issue. People have been calling, feeling very anxious and depressed. We have had situations where some of the existing depression has got worse. We have been, busy talking to our staff. Have been very busy. I've been talking to various people. Clients, supporting them, having extra bit of support even after hours, giving them extra dose of medication if that's necessary. But what we are encouraging people to do is, stay positive, stay well, look after themselves, and stay tuned to whatever is the update from the government, but not get too obsess over the news and looking at numbers of deaths and news from different parts of the world. It's a difficult time, unprecedented, but we're doing what we can.
But is there any particular helpline?
Yes, that's what
NHS
I was coming to. Yeah. So all the mental health trusts, have what they call a single point of access, which is 24-hour line. So most people can call them. In fact, one
is
of the
that
good
for mental health issues, Dr. Balu, or is that just if you think you've got CV?
This is mostly for people with mental health issues. If you have the coronavirus, then 111 is the first port of call.
Mm-hmm.
The GP surgeries are opened and they offer support as well.
When this is over, and indeed before it's over, you're going to have to deal with people who have been self-isolating, or indeed people who've been in hospital and have come out, and though they are physically well, they're not going to be in their mental health. How will you all deal with this? How will the NHS deal with those people who've been...
It's very important to recognize that. I think you made a very important point, Keith, there. Loneliness is going to be a problem. We're going to see an increased anxiety and depression rates, but we also probably may see an increase in the level of what we call as post-traumatic stress. I've had people who've been otherwise very healthy but have got admitted to the intensive care, spent 10 days pneumonia, and now not being able to sleep.
Thank you again, Dr. Balu, for joining us today on Leica Radio 1458. Please give our thanks to all those involved in the NHS, especially those dealing with mental health issues.
Thank you very much, Keith, for having me on your program.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. We're going to take a short break now, and we're going to be back in a few moments.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM. This is Leica Radio.
Leica Radio. This is Leica Radio with the latest traffic and travel next.
This week at Tesco, extra large Easter eggs are 2 for £8. And we've got an extra large choice on all your favourite brands, including Cadbury's, Reese's and Galaxy. At 2 for £8, the only thing that isn't extra large is the price. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in the majority of larger stores and online. Delivery charges may apply ends 31st of March.
Leica Radio. Travel update.
I'm Paula Brett, Marylebone Road. Now, we've got a traffic light failure affecting both directions at Regent's Park Underground Station. That was after an accident. Take extra care if you're headed that way. In Stockwell, the A23 Brixton Road northbound has a lane closed for emergency repairs between Stockwell Road and the Brixton Police Station traffic lights. Apart from that, it's nice and quiet on the roads. Of course, government advice remains to stay at home and not travel unless it's absolutely essential. On top of that, you've got heavy restrictions to London Underground and Overground services. No service at all for the Circle or Waterloo and City lines, and because of engineering works, no service on London Overground between Wandsworth Road and Clapham Junction. And that's the latest traffic and travel.
Leica Radio.
Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. We've been literally around the world talking to practitioners about coronavirus. We're ending up with our last interview in New York. And my guest from New York is Javier Balla, who is an asset manager with JP Morgan, one of the biggest financial institutions in the world. He was born in Hammersmith, so he's a Londoner, but he's ended up working in one of the greatest, probably the greatest financial city in the world, after London, of course. Javier, it's very early in New York. Tell me what it's like there now, not necessarily this morning, but when you go out for your walks. What's New York like?
I mean, I'd have to say, even though it's very early right now, even when I'm walking out on a Friday night at 10 p.m., it's still pretty much a ghost town in New York, which is very surreal. I mean, usually you hear cars honking all the time at all hours of the night, but I walk down the streets, obviously practicing social distancing, and it's oftentimes you don't see any cars whatsoever.
And do you feel under the same restrictions as we have here? Has Governor Cuomo, who is the governor of New York State, has he given you the 4 conditions? Stay in the house, only go for one walk, only go to work if it's essential, that kind of thing. Are you under the same restrictions?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's as strict as that. It definitely... Obviously, we're not going out the house just like that. We're not congregating in larger groups or anything. But in terms of going out for runs and so forth, I think that's pretty much fine. No one's stopping us. I personally don't feel like it's to the same extent as you may feel.
Yeah, but the numbers, of course, are rising in New York, so therefore people must be very worried. But America is very big on testing. If you wanted to have a test, would you be able to have one at your local pharmacy or with your local equivalent of the general practitioner?
Right. I'm not a doctor like the previous people you've spoken to, but from what I've seen and what I've read, I actually read a New York Times article, and they were saying that the testing kits are limited in New York, and it's only for those in critical condition and obviously healthcare workers who actually have direct access to them. So as far as I'm concerned and what I've heard through hearsay, it would be pretty tough.
You're probably texting all your friends who are of a similar age and disposition to yourself. What's the mood like? Happy? Do they think it's going to end soon, or is there a kind of somber mood amongst your colleagues?
It definitely varies. I think I'd have to say the mood is definitely becoming more somber. At the beginning, I think everyone was fairly bulled up. Almost the thought process that, we're young, we're invincible. But as you're beginning to hear of a few cases here and there, young, healthy, fit people having some health issues as a result of COVID, people are beginning to be a bit more cautious. And I've noticed that even for my friends, your typical New York, your loud and brash New Yorkers, and all of a sudden they're turning around and saying, hey, actually, I don't want to come hang out or come over and just have a bite to eat or something, because this is a little bit unprecedented, and they're a little bit unsure themselves.
Of course. Now, your parents are in Britain. What are their names?
Rita and Harry.
And they may well be listening to this show. So what's your message to Rita and Harry from New York to them? Because obviously you can't meet up now.
No, just we're doing fine here, and hopefully they're staying well and staying healthy, and looking forward to seeing them soon, or as soon as we can.
Javier Balla, thank you so much for joining us this morning from New York City, New York State in the United States of America. Please stay safe, and I'm sure all your friends and family look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thank you, Keith. Yes, same goes to you and your family as well. Stay safe, and hopefully see you very soon as well.
Thank you. This has been Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458. Please stay tuned for the next program, which is Bollywood Hits. And in the meantime, we are going to take a short break.
This is Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Girls, you know they wanna party all night. You know they wanna party till the sun comes up. You know they want it. Girls, you know they wanna party all night. You know they wanna party till the sun comes up.
हर ओर मशहूर करे दुनिया का टूर तेरी स्टोरियां हक जाए सब चूर तेरी मस्ती खत्म नहीं होंदिया मैंने सुना है मुंबई दिल्ली दिया कुड़ियां रात भर नहीं सोंदिया मैंने सुना है मुंबई दिल्ली दिया कुड़ियां रात भर नहीं सोंदिया डिस्को पानी प्यारा हो जैसे फिश को जब से देखा है मैंने तुझको तब से लगता मुझको पूरी करने आई है विश को
विश तेरे सस्ते ये रख तेरे बस्ते में आया कहाँ से निकल अपने रास्ते पे तुझे से फुकरों की मेरे पीछे टोलियां रात भर नहीं सोन दिया
कुड़ियां रात भर नहीं सोंदिया मैंने सुना है मुंबई दिल्ली दिया कुड़ियां रात भर नहीं सोंदिया
Leica Radio.
Leica Radio.
Thank you all for joining me this morning. My thanks to all my guests for joining me and for the work that they're doing. Thank you to my production team of Rupi and Lucas. My thoughts and prayers are with all of you at this very difficult time. This week I'm going to sign off with a song by my favourite British-born singer. Actually, he's born in Coventry. It's Navin Kundra's Tira Lear. This has been Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Please stay tuned for Bollywood hits, and please stay safe.
इन होठों पे ये हंसी झूठी लगे, तेरी इन बातों में कुछ छुपा लगे, तेरी अदाएं भी अलग सी लगे। प्यार के समुंदर में तू इन लहरों में खोई, तुमको नहीं है पता समा, जो सपने हमने देखे उनका हुआ क्या, इस आग में ना जाने क्यों हम चल रहे, कब से अंधेरों में हम यूं